What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MegaMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're running down Andor, Season 2, Episodes 4, 5, and 6. This is a recap. Briefly, there are definitely people who are doing a much better job of this, but I'm at least touching base on this because I wanted to talk about at least some concepts and some thoughts and some ideas. I think what's interesting also is that the audio description track, there's some things that I picked up on that I've been noticing. I think it's good. I think deluxe. I think it's deluxe. It's Jediah Barton, and they're using William Michael Redmond at least as one of the voices. I don't know if they're using any more voices than that, but I definitely picked up on William's voice being used to dub some of the alien languages in this. And episodes 4, 5, and 6. So the thing about this show, click like and subscribe, please, by the way, please, is that, they've sort of devised season 2 as being like this block of things. So like each thing is like a movie. So it's like we're watching 4 Andor movies. That's why they're releasing them in 3 things. That's how Tony is spinning this about his show. I think it feels like a burn off. It feels like how networks used to take shows that they either hadn't aired or had taken off the air and then rapidly needed to get rid of their episodes, and would air them like a couple episodes a night, until they ran out of episodes. And that was before we had streaming services. Now they can just dump a show to streaming like ABC did for one of their shows that was about the family and they owned the vineyard. It had Bellamy Young in it. I think you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that show did like 2 episodes on ABC. It didn't do well, and suddenly it became a Hulu series. So that's how they burn off episodes now, is they just shift it to streaming. So Andor feels like we should be relishing in this. It also is oddly, Star Wars Day is tomorrow. So it feels like we've always done something for Star Wars Day, but because we have Andor and it's dropping on Tuesdays, like, what are we going to get on Star Wars Day from Andor? What are we going to get? Are we going to get anything? I don't know. So, but yeah, these are supposed to be like 4 3-hour-ish, not 3 hours, because not episode is 60 minutes. So 4 under 3-hour movies. With specific time jumps. So we're like a year after the first 3 episodes when this picks up. Cassian and Bixie are, together and trying to live some sort of domestic lifestyle. Cyril is enjoying being a spy, a double agent. And we still see Stellan Skarsgård's character is really trying to like manipulate everybody. And we got Forrest Whitaker back, which is great. I loved he's so odd in Rogue One. It feels like the fully realized version of what he was trying to do on Battlefield Earth. If more people watch my channel, I would get so much flack for that, but nobody does. Like 2 people are going to watch this video. So it feels like his character, the way that he delivers sci-fi dialogue and everything, he is very, he's kind of campy, if we're being honest. There's a little bit of a campiness to it. His character is like addicted to this stimulant or whatever, and he's unabashedly not afraid to let you know. And he's working his own angle, and he's he's like Diego Luna, which is like, oh, okay, the characters can't die because they're in the movie. And then you look around at everybody else and you still go, damn, all these other people are not in the movie though. So something's still gonna have to happen. And I mean, all these characters could die, uh, something, to keep people away. There are themes and ideas here that I really liked. There was a line that Mama, I'm not good with these names, has, where she says, "Are we capturing the criminals, or uh, are we creating them? Are we creating like?" And uh, it's so interesting to have that in there because um, this also there's another theme that runs through this, which is very much it's a very selfish mentality that we all take, which is it's not happening here, it's happening over there. And so that's also something that you see in these episodes is there are people who aren't bothered because it's not happening to them, or it's not happening to where they live or their planet. It's happening on another planet. So to try to get people involved in the rebellion, it becomes hard because they don't associate with it directly, because they can't uh, look at somebody else's strife and say, that's bad. And if I was in that situation, I would want somebody to try to do something to help me. Uh, Also paralleled against the fact that, and I'm sorry, I forgot Stellan Skarsgård's character's name. This is what happens when you know what an actor's name is that you don't need to remember the character's name. So Stellan is actively okay with maybe the possible destruction of this like wealthy planet with the people who have connections and power, even though because he sees that as maybe fueling the resistance, I think, like being able to move that resistance forward. So like it's all of these things and these themes and these ideas that make this Andor, it's like a completely different Star Wars experience. It's very political, it's very espionage heavy. It's not so much blowing shit up and having force battles with lightsabers. It's not having people back flipping off of walls and, adorable droids that your kids are going to want to buy the merch for. Like, that's not what drives Andor. What drives Andor are these, like, tough concepts, which makes it kind of. I I would love to know. I'd love to watch like kids under the age of 10 watch Andor because I'm not sure that they get it. And I'm not sure that the show is for them. Like there are scenes directly that reference sort of sex in this, and it's in a Star Wars show, and you know, kind of feels like uh I mean, if parents just assume everything that's Marvel is meant for kids, then your kids have seen some really weird shit. Uh Specifically in that final episode of Daredevil Born Again. I'm sure that was fun for them if they had never seen that before. So, Andor is definitely pushing into boundaries. There is a clear representation of the Nazi occupation and the French Rebellion that's happening here. With regards to, World War II, I think even one of the languages they created here is based on French and Germanic. I heard something about that in one of the interviews when they were talking about the languages that they had to create. So they're drawing and pointing to very specific things. But once again, much like with Thunderbolts and Daredevil, there are themes and ideas that can be applied to where we currently are in America with our own political system and the way things are happening and how people are marching in the street and have had enough. And there seems to be like a revolution starting and that kind of thing. So even though this was made before that without any knowledge of where we would be now, let's face it, a show like Andor has post-production. Post-production. This is a post-production show. Heavy show. Some shows, some movies, they get shot and it takes them a while to come out because of the work that has to be done in post. you can stand on, you know, the backs of VFX artists as hard as you want. They can only move just so fast. So at some point you're going to have to be like, are we going to cut corners? You know, and for Lucasfilm and a property like Star Wars, they're not really known for cutting corners. It's not really a huge thing that they like to do. It's something that George Lucas definitely would have been against, although they did make those. He thought those were good choices when they made the little changes to the re-releases of the original trilogy, and they like kind of fixed some of the little errors, and they thought that people wouldn't notice, and then people were like, no, don't blur that out. That's one of the charms. We want that to be there. So yeah, it's Andor has a lot of complex ideas that run through it, and a lot of it has a lot of great performances. I don't know why Benjamin Bratt's here, not Jimmy Smits. It's very weird. It's not like Jimmy Smits has a lot to do. He's alive. I don't understand the recast, but there's a planet where the one thing that is that this planet that like blindness is like a gift. It feels like it's falling into that ableist trope of, and kind of now that I'm here, like I saw Rogue One before I lost my sight. So when I saw Rogue One, I didn't like it that much. It was okay. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie. I like the characters. I just thought it had a really bleak ending to it, which it does. And I wanted at least the fun thing about this is before I even lost my vision, the character I connected with the most was the blind character. But not because he was blind, but I loved his firm belief in the Force. You know, I am one with the Force is with me. Whatever he kept chanting over and over. I'm sorry, it's been a minute since I've seen Rogue One, but the thing that he keeps chanting over and over throughout the movie kind of made him this really endearing character, because he was just relying so much on faith, and it was unclear whether or not he actually had the Force, whether or not, you know, he believed, whether or not the Force had ever been gifted to him, or if it was giving him sort of like just the effect of, you know, sort of like giving somebody a pill and saying, yeah, this is the drug, and then they feel like that they're having the effects of it, but honestly it's just not. So but yeah, we don't have like heightened senses or anything like that. It's not this weird like Daredevil thing. I feel like we're continuing to like propagate these weird tropes where we turn out to be badasses because we lost our vision, like, or we have heightened senses, or can see the future. I love that trope. Like, there are all these tropes that they keep using blind people for. So the fact that there's a planet where like people, they're like, oh yeah, blindness, we love it. It does give me pause. It makes me think about like, well, why do you love it? Is it because Lucasfilm or anyone, or Tony Gilroy, or anybody who's ever worked on the show has ever actually met, spoken to, had conversations with about the accessibility with any blind people? Or are they falling into the trope of what many sci-fi fantasy series have, which is they're blind, so they must have second sight, or they must have super hearing, or, you know, like they're wise beyond their years. They're sage for some reason. You know, pick one. We seem to be something whenever it comes to sci-fi fantasy. So there's that. So I've said, and I admit, when I do Andor reviews, it's not my favorite Star Wars series. Rogue One was not my favorite movie. I love Diego Luna as an actor. I think he's a great actor. He's fantastic in La Máquina. If you get a chance to watch that on Hulu, he got a Golden Globe nomination for that earlier this year. I feel like people are going to forget about that, and he's not going to get an Emmy nomination. But he did get a Golden Globe nomination for La Máquina. A very consistent actor. it would be great for him to be recognized for his acting. I feel like we constantly dodge him and don't end up giving him the accolades. Him and Gal Garcia Bernal, the fact that neither of them have Oscar nominations is just bizarre at this point. So yeah, there are things here that I like. I think Stellan Skarsgård is another actor who is very underrated, and we do not give him enough praise or awards that he should have already had by now. So really rooting for his film that comes out this year and hoping it's good and hoping it gets him an Oscar nomination because he's long overdue. So the acting here is on point, and there's things that here that draw me. I like the different angle. I like the political espionage elements of it. I think that's interesting. I really love the scene where Cyril's, he's at his job, and then here in comes, the Gestapo for all intents and purposes, and they're stopping everything, and they're like, we're here to do a sweep, and they're like, no, not right. He's not right now. We're in the middle of an audit, and they're like, are you refusing? And he puts up a fight, and feels like he can, and and I love when he comes back when he's like, we're bugging our own office, like we're the people who are supposed to be doing the bugging, but we're bugging ourselves, like what's going on here. So things like that are interesting. There are moments. The audio description, I gotta say, it doesn't make any sense, but I kind of went down the rabbit hole of Cyril eating the cereal with the blue milk, because it made me think, like, would I drink blue milk? What would blue milk be? Would it be blueberry milk? We do have strawberry milk. So what would create blue milk? And would I drink it with cereal? What animal creates blue milk? I spent a lot of time thinking about blue milk because it was specifically mentioned in the audio description. So there are certain things that happen in Andor that are just, yeah. So anyway, yes, not the best recap that you're going to get, but yeah, if you want like a play-by-play breakdown, there are people who have these videos that run for like 2 hours because it's 3 episodes. So I'm not going to do that. Nobody would watch it. I don't have that kind of follower subscriber thing on here. So I'm condensing my feelings and thoughts about 3 episodes into one video. And that's what you get. So it does kind of feel like, even though he thinks these are movies, if this was a standalone movie, I don't think it has enough momentum or action to sustain itself as a standalone movie. If he had released Andor as mini movies, instead of season 2, if Disney Plus had ordered and had, given him Andor movies, right? So instead of 12 episodes, he got 4 Andor movies to wrap up. And these were uniquely blocked off together and edited in a way. I think this as a standalone movie wouldn't work. So the idea that that's what he's trying to do, I think it still plays like a television series where there still is character development in certain places, and there's a rise and fall and tension, and we're still in the first half of the season. So it's all about still building the story instead of collapsing it. So we got hit in the beginning with sort of the initial concept and the direction of the season, and now we're sort of in a holding pattern where we're seeing things take shape, take form. We're making slow steps forward, but it's not necessarily the most engaging movie that you would see if it was by itself. So I like the episodes. I think they're fine. I'm going to give Andor episodes 4, 5, and 6 collectively the grade of a B+. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.